I didn't have any dreams of comedy performing when I was a kid, but I was a dancer, and for many years I was choreographing shows, and then I stopped doing that, and my daughter said to me one day, "Mum, you need to do something creative." I've enrolled us in a comedy course together, and a lot of the work I do is very confronting. So my set tonight is about death. And to get the feedback, not only in the laughs, but after, I've done it a couple of times before, and I've had people who've recently experienced death say, "Thank you for making something public so that we feel we can talk about it." So that's a really big buzz.
Please make some noise for Jacqueline Richards!
Hi, it's so great to be here because I had to have a little break from comedy. I had heaps of really funny jokes about my husband and how annoying he is. And then he died. I had to write all new material. It was really inconvenient. Oh well, I guess life isn't fair, is it? I used to joke about the fact that my husband didn't pull his weight around the house. But honestly, now that he's gone, I realise he did absolutely fucking nothing. You know, not that I blame him. He was a really busy guy. You know, he had a big job. He was out all the time at meetings and conferences and golf. It's just when people say to me, "I'm so sorry you lost your husband," I feel like I need to say, well, actually, for the first time since we met, I know exactly where he is all the time. It's very comforting. Bit shit for him, though. So for the past 12 months, I've been dealing with people who mean well. They say things like, "If there's ever anything at all I can do." So I think I'm going to get the house painted. The trip to the funeral directors was crazy, because I went in, right, and we're talking. Suddenly she looked really sad. And then a couple of minutes later, she started to cry. And I'm thinking, why is she crying? I'm the sad one. I'm the widow. What's going on? It really messed with my head. Before I could stop myself, I blurted out, "Were you fucking my husband?" She said she wasn't, but that he seemed very nice. And she said it in a way that made me think she probably would have fucked him if she'd just met him a little earlier. So that's lovely, isn't it? He would have liked that. Then she handed me a book and told me I had to choose a coffin. She said, "Don't look at the front of the book. They're the cheap coffins. We reserve those for orphans, criminals, and the families of lawyers." She tried to upsell me with the really expensive coffins. She said, "Look at this one, so comfortable, all this padding. And this one, all this extra room." I said, "Wait, you know he's dead, right? What's he going to do with the extra room? Sublet?" Then I had to organise a funeral during COVID restrictions. I became like some crazed, demented party planner. Only 20 of all our great friends. So I did a spreadsheet. I put the names of all our friends on one side and all the attributes of great friendship across the top. Then I scored people. I did a regression analysis based on how long we'd known them, just to make sure I was completely fair. And then I started making manic phone calls. "Hello, Michael. You're invited to the funeral. You're number 19. You could have been nicer. It's too late now." Speaking of the funeral, when I got there, friend number 3, who I thought knew me really, really well, or I knew them, pulled me to the side of the church and said, "You're so lucky. I wish my husband would die." Look, I probably should tell you at this point that being a widow isn't all bad. I mean, I'm not wrong all the time anymore. You know, unless the kids are over. And people didn't know what to say to me, so they cooked. I didn't make my own dinner for 10 months. It was amazing. Made me realise just how many friends I actually have. You know, like, I don't know what the unpopular widows did last year. They probably got thin, so that's fucking annoying. People don't bring me food anymore, now they bring advice. Really useful stuff like, don't wallow. Oh, thanks, Barbara, I wouldn't have thought of that on my own. But since we're now giving unsolicited advice, you should rethink your Fringe. I think the toughest thing that happened last year is I got kicked out of grief group. They told me it was because I didn't have a welcoming spirit, but I think it had more to do with what I said to Carol. Because see, at grief group, you sit around in a sad little circle on those plastic church chairs, and Carol, who's only been a widow for 4 months, decided to tell us that she'd met someone else and she'd never been happier. And all I said was, read the room, Carol. You're in grief group. If you want to be happy, you should probably fuck on over to Oktoberfest. Like, in my defence, it was October. Thank you, I'm Jacqui Richards.